Okay, this one I'm going to talk about the response questions for chapters 5 and 6. You can see them posted on the screen, although they're kind of small, so it's probably easier to see them posted on your own screen if you want to look at that, and you can just listen to me. But I just wanted to kind of talk through what I was looking for on these. So the first section is the beginning of chapter 5, and we're looking at the way Gatsby acts, and this is pages 81 to 88. And remember, he starts off. This is when this is going to be just before the first meeting between Gatsby and Daisy. And I really do think this is a spot that the newer movie just absolutely nails it. The older movie with Robert Redford and Mia Farrow and Sam Waterston, you probably won't see any of this, but you can certainly find it online. But that one, I don't think it hits that. That one does most of the movie probably better, but the Leonardo DiCaprio version really nails his nervousness. And he really does, as Nick said, really kind of acts like a little boy. Like he's just he wants things to be exactly the way that he wants them, and if they're anything different, then he's gonna cry and throw a fit basically. And that's kind of where he seems like he's at. Like everything has to be perfect. And the reason for this, most of you kind of nailed this, but just in case you weren't maybe there with me yet, is this is 5 years of buildup. This is the only thing that has mattered to him for 5 years. This isn't like, he comes and goes from this, that it's, something that he's always cared about, but he doesn't, it hasn't always been his primary thing that he's cared about. This is it. This is the thing that he wants. And if he screws this up, he probably doesn't get another shot at it. You can't keep going back to Daisy every 2 months and trying again, especially given all the circumstances of her being married, her being married to Tom Buchanan of all people. So he has to get this right, and he's so nervous about it. I just realized how weird my Atari logo here looks, being keyed out part of me. But anyway, that's the thing there at the opening, and we get everything from him destroying a clock to him bringing just like tons of flowers. In fact, when you do watch that scene, I really do recommend watching the movie for this at some point, the newer DiCaprio version. I think you'll really enjoy it. But I really love this scene because the amount of flowers they bring in is just ridiculous, and Daisy plays up on it too. So I think it's worth definitely seeing that. Then we get to, of course, they do meet, and everything's going great, and they decide to go over to Gatsby's house, and we get the weird shirt scene. This is one that I'm really sad that I couldn't find this scene on YouTube for the older film, because in the older film, the way Mia Farrow plays Daisy, it's just, this line is just read in such a ridiculous way, because she's got this high, squeaky voice anyway, and says, "They're such beautiful shirts. It just makes me sad because I've never seen such beautiful shirts before." And it's just so over the top, and like I can't even possibly get that high because Mia Farrow's voice really is just way so up there. But it just seems so over the top. But it is a deep and important line. And the thing that I wanted you to kind of get at with this is she thought earlier in her life, choosing between Gatsby and Tom, it talks about that she wrote a letter to Gatsby at one point, and Gatsby received that letter while he was still at Oxford. And that letter's probably saying, we're done, I'm marrying this other man, yada, yada, yada. She thought she was choosing between love and between money and basically the easy path. She thought she was making the Aunt Georgiana choice from Wagner Matinee. So she chooses the path that her family's okay with, because her family wasn't going to be okay. She's Daisy Faye. She's of a family that's on the level of the Buchanans. So she's not going to be accepted by her family marrying some nobody. As Wolfsheim brings up, someone who literally, when he gets back from the war, has no other clothing other than his army uniform that he could even change into, so he would walk around in his army uniform all the time. She thinks she's choosing between those things. So it's not that she's completely materialistic in loving these shirts so much. It's that she's realizing she chose the wrong person, because with Gatsby, she could have had both. Would have taken a while for Gatsby to get to this point, but with Gatsby, she could have both. He is devoted to her in a way that Tom never is and never probably will be. But at the same time, he now is financially on Tom's level. So that's where the sadness comes from, that she has chosen this life where she's being cheated on, where she has a loveless marriage, where she honestly feels when she has a daughter that she hopes that her daughter grows up to be a beautiful little fool who's oblivious to all the horrible stuff that will happen to her, because if you're oblivious to it, it hurts less. Uh, that's kind of where we're going with number two. Number three is just your thoughts on things. Nick again has arranged this meeting between his married cousin and his next door neighbor so that they can have an affair and she can cheat on Tom. Now Tom's horrible, so some of you guys are willing to excuse that. I'd be curious to hear what your thoughts are on Daisy and whether she deserves happiness after you've gotten through chapters 8 and 9. But again, that one was more your opinion, so I'm going to kind of move through that one. Then we get to the top of 105, and this is at the party, of course. And I love this line just because it's such a little dig, and most of you guys got that, although only some of you guys got why. Says he took them unceremoniously from group to group, and he's introducing Daisy and Tom. He says, "Mrs. Buchanan and Mr. Buchanan, the polo player." This is entirely a dig at Tom, because Tom has never done anything in his life. This is something we're going to get to in one of the other videos that I've already shot, but you'll watch after this probably. And it's the idea that Tom wants to feel important. He wants to feel like he's special, that he's important, that he's powerful. That's why he's awful to for instance, George Wilson, because he can keep doing his power plays about the car. He's awful to the person that selling the dog to Myrtle in that same chapter. That's why he, reads all these racist books about, how the other races are lesser than him, because he's got to find some reason to say that he's better. He hasn't done anything in his life. He's inherited all of his money. He really probably hasn't done anything more significant than be a polo player. Gatsby's nailed him, got him like that, but Tom doesn't like that because it does kind of minimize what he's accomplished in life, in a sense. Really actually is pretty accurate, but it certainly seems like it minimizes it. So that's the big thing I want you to get with that, is that this is a minimizing of him, but it's an accurate one. And the last thing then, near the end of the party, 109, 110, we get the whole ending moment, and I think most of you guys probably got this, although some of you on your worksheet were definitely missing a small part of this. This gets to that. I wouldn't ask too much of her. You can't relive the past, but the big thing is not that Daisy goes with him now. It's not that Daisy says she doesn't love Tom now and loves Gatsby now, and that she, always loved Gatsby. It's that she never loved Tom. He wants to erase it. It's not just saying, you're bad to me now, we had a moment, but that moment's over. It's, you were never important to me. I only married you because I felt I had to, because I felt I was trapped. He wants her heart, and he wants her future, but he also wants her past, and that's one of those things that is just not the case. That you don't get to dictate what happened in someone's past. When you meet someone and they are someone that is important to you, you can certainly try to be part of their future, but you can't interject yourself into their past. That's just not the way it works, and that's what Gatsby wants. And this is where we start getting into where Gatsby starts seeming less like a romantic and more like an obsessive. So that's just a key point there. And that should knock out everything for these responses. The other videos will be going up with this. This should be the first one you watch, but then the other two will be about kind of bookend type stuff. The symbolism and all the stuff that happens at the end. I kind of brush over most of it, but mostly at symbolism, so check those videos out. Those should be very, very helpful for the one-pagers that you guys are assigned to do. So please get to that, and then we'll be done with Gatsby. And after spring break, we will find ways to get into the Harlem Renaissance even without your textbooks. So don't worry about that, and see you later.